today we want to welcome Elder April Clark, Chesney Mitchell, and Curtis Yearego. I'm gonna let them talk a little bit about their organizations as well. We're proud to have them here. I mean, I thank you on short notice coming in.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. But I know mental health is a big thing, so we're gonna really just break the silence and talk about it today.
Sounds great.
I'll let Elder start first.
Hello, my name is April Clark. I am a program developer for Family Options Providers. I oversee the peers, and we work closely with the homeless community, SUD community, and anybody that really needs help to reestablish themselves. We like to call ourselves a one-stop shop for those in need. So we do have our community closet where we have, clothing and ready to eat meals and backpacks, hygiene, things for hygiene and to keep warm in the wintertime. So we advocate for those who don't have a voice for themselves. And we like to look out for the community. That's what we do.
Well, thank you for being here. Mr. Yearego?
Founder and director, West Virginia Disabled Incorporated. So named because we are going to enable the disabled in Southern West Virginia. Hashtag breaking every barrier there is out there that denies us access to the public places and spaces that others enjoy every single day.
That's good. I mean, like I said, I know you got a movement going on, right?
We do. We got a serious issue going on in Meadow Creek, Summers County, West Virginia. Check out our Facebook page, follow the story. Share, and pray. Above all, pray. Pray for us that we follow this vision, this mission to its end as he wills.
And that's West Virginia Disabled.
West Virginia Disabled.
Right. Okay. And Chesney, you have a show as well.
Yeah, CJ in Session, where we talk with like other women on the platform. I have different guests, and we, have put out different words and different, things for younger women, for a younger audience.
And today, so that's good too. So today we're going to talk about the stigma of mental health. What is the stigma of mental health? That's definitely negative attitudes, beliefs, and stereotypes about people, they have about, mental health conditions and those who struggle with them. Which leads to shame, silence, fear of getting help, and then sometimes discrimination as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Public stigma is one that I wanted to start with as well. And everybody, going to pitch in and talk, and talk in about it. But society judging people with mental health challenges. One thing I will say is, real quick, and I'll be quiet, but, and you hear it now, and, you hear it, and I don't know how much y'all hear it now, retarded, you hear these words. Really, they're very harmful words, but you hear it all the time. Now, here's the thing. I say that today, and everybody, kind of shrugs at it, but then you hear it down the street, they go, oh, yeah, that was retarded. You know what I mean? So it's in the vernacular for someone to speak that way. But then, in certain situations, to me, it's not good in any situation. No. That's the way I see it, right? Because, once somebody hears that, like I said, they have that fear, of thinking, they crazy or they're weak. And that's really a lot when we talk about the public. You like sharing that, Curtis, a little bit?
Yeah, very personal issue. I was in LPN for over 20 years, and the stigma associated with mental health at times kept me from seeking my own mental health, because how are my peers going to look at me? How am I going to be a nurse and have mental health issues? I actually thought about that as far as, just the public side of it. And so it did delay my treatment. And we need to stop with the stigma, stop with the self-stigma, as I just described, and get the help.
Right.
That's what's important.
Right. And, when you talk about, like I said, what people judging, Elder, what do you say about that when people judging as far as, with this?
I found that is one of the core issues in dealing with people with mental health, is that they first don't really know how to seek help, because people look at mental health issues as a bad word. And so it's already a stigma attached to it. So how to get help, scared somebody's going to find out and think that they are not stable.
Right.
So those are the types of things that people deal with. But nowadays, there's so many ways to receive help. You don't have to necessarily come into an office. We also offer telehealth, so you can do it in the privacy of your home. So I think the stigma related to it is huge. That society puts this bubble around us. I'm gonna call it a bubble. That you have to look a certain way and act the part, and you have to be this, and you have to be that.
Amen.
You got to look successful. That's why we see all the pictures on Facebook that tell lies. I say pictures lie, because we want the persona that everything's going great, and in the background our world is crumbling, and we don't know how to reach out. And so places like mental health clinics and family options and what you have going on, and everybody in the area have something different to offer. And so now you can reach out, but the point of reaching out, we have to make people feel safe and that they can come to us and we can help them with their issues. So stigma is huge. But if we don't deal with it, it grows,
Right.
and it leads to other stuff. And so that's why it's important.
Real quick, I'm gonna let Curtis talk, but when you say about the social media, right? Something called comparison culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why not me? Is you showing your best moments on there. Meanwhile, you might get fixed up, and on online or on social media, and then you really hurting inside.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling behind, not good enough. But to everybody else, it seems like oh man, they doing well. And that's something that we kind of struggle with as well.
We do.
What were you saying? What were you gonna say, Curtis? You want to add?
As a lot of people may know by now, I am faith driven, and I can't help but think Jesus brought me here for a reason. To be real, when people do reach out for help, as she said, let's make it okay for them. And now I'm talking to mental health care providers. I've been there, I've done that, I've checked myself in for help, and I was treated in a way that was not nice at all, and was not conducive to my healing at all. As an amputee in a wheelchair, I was denied access to a bathroom where I could wash my hands and shower without crawling across the floor or using a walker and hopping. And that's the God's honest truth. Quit, please quit. People are already traumatized enough in their own mind. Let's quit adding to that trauma.
You're right. And I hate that you went through that, but I'm glad, getting the word out though, which is a big thing as well. That's why that's behind your movement as well, right?
Breaking it down real, and
that's it. Behind your movement is that. And I think, a lot of times when we talk about, stigmas, right? People need to know that, it's not right. See, a lot of people, I know it sounds crazy. Like I was telling you about that word, retarded. Okay. A lot of people they would know that.
No.
I'm not saying they would know this. I'm not saying we might, get jumped, but unless they said, no, that offends people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Unless
people.
you come out and say that, right?
and you can't believe how people will shut down. The case that we have going on in Summit County, the man rushed out for 3 years. 3 years he hasn't got help. And he shut down because if nobody helps him, why continue to go to other people?
Right.
When the people that are supposed to be for you weren't.
Right.
So he shuts down, and he went 3 years with no safe access in and out of his house for 3 years. So we gotta quit. We gotta quit.
Right. No, you're right. And that's why I'm glad, Elder, that's why I'm glad that family options now.
That point in the first place.
Right.
Well, I feel like I try to do my very best to live by Bible standards, what the word says. And the word tells me not to covet. Because we don't know what somebody had to go through to get to where they are. Everybody has their own story, and you have to be able to be comfortable in your skin and grow the way the Lord would have you to. But that's so easier said than done, because we don't have a lot of guidance in those areas, and we keep secrets, and we don't talk about the things that cause the mental health or the things that make us feel insecure. We don't talk about those things because it makes you look weak, and people make fun of that because we live in a wicked culture. And so therefore you can't look at a picture and say, you can say, oh, this is beautiful. Y'all did a great job. Clap for people, but also keep in mind not to covet. This world is set up to make you be able to covet the lust of the eyes. What we see, we want it. We want to be like that. We want to do. But I encourage people to do your self-care. Like, take care of yourself. And if you have a problem, find that safe haven. Everybody needs a safe space, and that's hard to come by. I thank God for my tribe. My very, very small circle, very teeny tiny. I had to learn to make it very small. And I can depend on, there are people in that circle I can depend on to lift me up and to help me if I need it. And that's important. So I agree with Curtis. Like, we need to do better in our mental health facilities. As a whole, we need to have more compassion, but we also have to be aware of the times we live in. And so we have to fight more for what we need. Like, you got to move going, and we have to fight, and we have to advocate for those who don't have a voice.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, getting into the second, type, it would be the self-stigma. We talk about when individuals kind of internalize, right? I mean, their own beliefs. I mean, something must be wrong with me, right? I shouldn't feel this way, right? A lot of times, when we talk about depression, I mean, I hear people talking all the time, and I notice. I mean, I ain't gonna get too biblical, but I'm only why, because a lot of darkness that you feel is the turning away. But family options has a way, or with family options, the mental health facility, they help, awesome. Right, and other ones around the the county and around state as well. But there's another. I mean, that's the way that somebody can choose to go as well. To kind of open that up and give you that light that you need, right, in order to see, give you the tools that you need in order to see. I mean, yes. But that's what it is. I mean, but this is you have to internalize and understand. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't feel that way. You feel that way because that's kind of how you were constructed. I mean, that's when we talk about being dark and stuff like that. A lot of that is clinical depression. That's what it is. It's not something that they've done. It's just the fact that this is how. They had this is how they're built, exactly. In that way, and a lot of people are that way, but they still with that stigma. They don't want to go get help. Exactly. And they, he's not being that way, or you go online and look, and they're not. You know what I mean? So, kind of being proactive. And this is, and I don't know if we're being proactive or reactive right now with this, but then again, me and Chesney had this conversation. Sometimes, when we put shows out and things of that nature, it may not grab everybody. It may not, and that's fine too. Right. I mean, because I think everybody has their lane. Yes. There's entertainment, right, and there's there's also positive messaging and also communication. So sometimes that's the way it is, and that's fine. You got to be comfortable with what you are. I'm not going to knock anybody if that's what they're going to do their entertainment. And then at the end of the day, I don't have to judge them for that. You know what I mean? But you could always, like you said, with your platform, you can always, make it stronger, right? By bringing other entities. Right. What I mean by that is, and other things in with that as well. Because like I said, it's not just the fact that you had to crawl on the floor. That's terrible. Exactly. There's another way. We got to educate those who didn't think it was enough for you not to. You know what I mean? So I think again, but now our delivery, and this is just me saying, our delivery has to be in a way to where, because I'm telling you, people get a little puffed up and they don't want to hear, in certain ways. So just how we talk to people is another way as well. I mean, and I think, so that's what we're doing here today. Like I said, we got all walks of life here on the table, on the panel here. But that's a lot of it when we talk about self-care and the root of it. And a lot of it, like I said, it's a lack of education. Let's get it right. A lot of people aren't educated in this, some people, they do say it, sometimes tough it out, right? And things of that nature. But, there's also, when we talk about praying and things like that, I get it, but you can also tell them they need to maybe go see some.
I always say that it's okay to have Jesus and a sounding board. It's okay. You just got to choose your sounding board. It's okay to pray and have someone to talk to.
Right.
It's
right.
very important that you have somebody. A lot of times we go off the way we feel. Like, I think that, and I won't go too deep with this, I'll try to stay very surface, but I think that even in our children, when they start going through adolescence and they start feeling different and their body changes and they don't like the process that they're going through, now we have this thing where say, just change who you are totally. Deconstruct yourself the way you were already made. And so this comes into, starts to figure, you're going through you're having a war with who you are created to be and then who you want to be.
Right.
And so going through the process, we see that people are going through that process. Even as adults, we go through processes. We go from here to here to here. Everything is a lesson and everything is not comfortable.
No.
It's not comfortable. And so what the society is telling us, you have to be comfortable and happy all the time. And you got to look the part and this and that. And so people try to raise that level instead of going through their processes to grow, to find out who am I, not identifying with other people, but who is April, who is Chesney, who's Don, who's Curtis, whoever we are, and be proud of how we're being developed. But it doesn't happen that way. There's so many options to change yourself. And it's okay if it's positive. But us being in helping community, if it's mental health, if it's the transportation, if it's what Chesney does, giving a voice to young girls, whatever it is, what Curtis does, if we're doing it to advocate for community, it's not necessarily about how we look, it's about who we grab, who we can teach, who we can touch with our testimony, with our experiences.
Right.
And so that's the way we make a difference in mental health and breaking down stigma, that you are wonderfully and beautifully made and that you can still be somebody. And we don't have to we don't have to be on the standard of coveting what somebody else has. We make our own story.
Exactly right. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Exactly right. I want everybody to check out the devotional on our page today. It talks about being lovers of self.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to push religion on anybody. Every religion is valid in their own way. Your journey is your journey. I'm not in any way trying to push religion on anybody. True Islam, true Hinduism, true Buddhism, true Christianity, all true faiths, all point to not self. They point to others. If we all got back, sorry, I'm speaking biblically. I'm not speaking as a founder of a nonprofit. I'm speaking as a person. If we all got biblically to those principles, and I don't care what you believe, if we all got biblically to those principles, for example, if everyone in the world gave 10% to God, not to the organization, not to the charity that they thought deserved it, but to God, and let God do what he wants with it. Can you just imagine what this world would be like? That's all I have to say on that. Whatever helps you heal, whatever that is. For me, it was Jesus and secular treatment. I check myself into facilities. I go to therapists. I take medication. And I also take Jesus in heavy, heavy doses. Whatever helps you heal is valid. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out, find them. If you need a doctor, reach out, find one.
Well, I think
Whatever
but I think some of what you're saying though, but the fact that needs to be evidence based, you would say as well. Because if not, then I can't. I mean, and I always say this, like, if I'm having an anxiety attack or whatever, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say that's not to you, I probably shouldn't go to McDonald's to try to help. I mean, I'm not saying now I might be able to eat there or something like that, and I'm not being funny, but I know. But shoot, you know what? I seen a lady on that screen say she worked over there by White Stick Road over off of Eisenhower. Why don't I run in there and see? But even though I run in there, they're going to do what's called a diagnosis first, or they're going to, kind of give me an eval to see where I'm at with it. That's, I think the key is that part. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't tell them what's going on, but it could be that, but it could be another underlying factor, that's going on as well. Now, you might not tell her out in front when we all are listening, but when you go behind that door and y'all start and get a rapport with her, then they might start to cook. So it might take a couple sessions, right? I mean,
we take confidentiality steps. So
Right.
the first thing is that when you initially sign up with Family Options, you just go into our website, click in your basic information, everything in blue, and then when you're done, we automatically see it. And so then from there, we don't talk to you as staff in there. We give you to a counselor that specializes
Right.
in doing an intake on you.
Right.
She knows what questions to ask. She knows
Right.
how to ask them and knows how to establish a rapport with you. And so once that's done, then we figure out, hey, this is what this person needs, he or she needs. As far as mental health or substance use disorder, I find that a lot of I have a lot of clients. I love them so much, and I understand where their substance use came from. It came from hurt. It came from trying to be numb. It
Right.
came from mental health.
Right.
And it's
Right.
all established
Right.
together.
Right.
But once someone starts getting high and now you're just in a whirlwind of things. So you got everything going
Right.
on. And now shame is on top of everything else. So now you're trying to hide your addiction. You're trying to be normal on top of your other things that are going on in your head. And so there's a lot to get together and try to dissect and put back together. And so we need people in the field that understand that and really want to help people, because it can get tiring when you see someone in addiction and you're like, all you got to do is stop. It's not that easy.
Right.
Exactly right.
It doesn't work like that.
Right.
We have to get to the root,
Right.
pluck it up.
And that's
and
why
go
I
from
said,
there.
and that's why I said, just real quick, some real life kind of situations when it comes to stigma in public, right? Since we're talking about kids sometimes, sometimes students, they do have anxiety attacks,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Before things, but sometimes the other students may say, oh, he's just trying to get out of not doing his work. Or he's doing too much, what I mean? But so guess what happens? The student shuts down, stops asking for help, and guess what? They stop coming to school.
Right.
Because of these things. So we need to be aware of some of these things when it comes to public. Also, even in our workplace, somebody has to take a mental health day. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things, we're all stressed. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? And that's not the way to handle it, right?
No.
I mean, it's not. I mean, the way to handle it, it does come. People do get burned out, right? And when that happens, what happens? They start to not come to work at all. And that's not what you want. I mean, and that's one of the things, when we talk about scenarios, as far as self, it's kind of like what you said, when you're feeling overwhelmed, right? You might feel that you're weak at something because you feel that, you're just overwhelmed. That's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of talking about it, or now you're avoiding therapy
Mm-hmm.
because you say, someone needs it or think you need it. What's wrong? Right? What's wrong with me? I'm okay. And then, and I know even with me, even right now, even with me, I know when, like before we started, right? I mean, we shot this a couple times. There's a reason why, though. You know what I mean? There's a reason why. You know what I mean? Had a death in the family, it's affected me. It affects me a lot. So, I started to just talk to people about it because I know it was I'm not going to sit there and act like it wasn't.
Right.
And at the time, I couldn't really express myself because I was doing, so many things for the fammy.
Right.
But you said yourself though. You have to take care of yourself as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I still. But the way I did it is to move on, right? And what I mean by that move on is to start, talking to people, right? Taking their advice, and also, doing things in my own way. That's why I have his purple shirt on, because that's what he liked.
Yeah.
He liked purple. I couldn't stand purple, but that's what he liked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so doing things like that. So, but in the midst of it, it is hard, right? But you got to go get the help you need, right? I mean, and that doesn't always mean. I ain't saying it always needs a family, but it's definitely someone with some. And now this would be someone with some what's called godly counsel. But that's what it talks about. But those are the things
Like
that
you're saying, if somebody calls me, for example, I had a person in Hancock County call up. They need some help with walking shower. I don't know nothing about Hancock County. That's way up north. But I took her information. I called Hancock County Senior Services. Got in touch with them. Got her in touch with this place. That's what it takes.
That's what it takes.
If somebody calls me, I'm not going to tell them, hey, go find Jesus. I'm probably going to tell them that too, but I'm going to direct them where I can to the proper place,
right?
Not
That's
just
the way it
any
is.
place.
That's good.
That's
And
the way
as you
it
were saying
is.
also, everybody in this room definitely is focused on helping others. And I know there's a bunch of people out there too. You're focused on helping others, pastors, community leaders, on and on and on. sometimes, as we were saying just now, stop, sit down, take a break, self-care. If you're not helping yourself, how are you going to help anybody else? So
Sometimes we talked about public, we talked about self, institutional stigma. And sometimes that's because the policies and systems kind of limit the support. That's what we're talking about. I mean, some of the lack of access to therapy, right? Also schools, kind of workplaces, they're not supporting mental health days, but I think a lot of it, they're under the scrutiny as well. Not taking up for them, but definitely not trying to trash them in the same sense, because we don't know. I mean, I don't know I've worked there before, but I don't know what the policy. I never was an employee there. I don't know the policy.
right, exactly.
Whatever, things like that. So
we're not about shame, we're not about blame, we're about fix.
I don't know that. I mean, here, like I said, even in Donaghy, right? I mean, you could take a day. I mean, nobody's looking at you bad, but then again, right? But there's not a lot of places you get paid either. I'm just saying. So a paid, you know what I mean? So that's something. Then you weigh in it. You're like, shoot, I feel like crap. I gotta get to work, man. I'm just saying.
Either I go to work or I go home.
And I'm not, being funny about that, but trying to build up. But when you talk about limited support, though, is what I'm saying. So now I'm talking as a business owner, not trying to make an excuse, but what am I? We gotta get to keep the lights on too. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I don't care about the person. I did, because they can take the day off. But
right. I understand where you're coming from.
But that's what I'm on the smaller scale. This is the bigger scale.
Right.
I mean, you know what it is. I mean, like I said before, but it does take money to run things. But then again, we also have to worry about the person itself too.
Right.
If you're not taking care of your company, your employees, your
right.
cohorts, your associates, however you want to name it, whatever the situation is, how are they going to help you?
But the biggest issue too, I agree with that. The biggest thing too is that when we as a business or community advocacy, you always have to have a plethora of resources,
right?
Like, because we can't do it all. So I thank God for the people that I'm connected to, that when I have somebody that says I need baby clothes or a stroller, or I don't have furniture, or I don't have this, I don't have that, and they're getting on their feet, they're getting reestablished. I have those people, those resources. I can call them and say, hey, it's April and this person needs this. And so having those resources is as a community leader, as someone who is advocating for people in need, it's a must to have people that you can rely on and know that that you're calling, that you are the real deal. You're not calling to scam. You're not calling just to make it put yourself on Facebook. You're not calling you're calling to really help somebody. So having good, sound resources, there's about nothing that when I work with a client that I can't get my hands on, but it takes a community. And each one of us, even as peers, all of the peers I work with, they all have their own little resource hub. We collab with each other, but they have people that care for them, that they can help somebody else. So it's about a domino effect. Everybody being able to help on the level they can help on.
And I'm glad you said it. And I'm glad you're here, Curtis, because here's the thing. The tie-in is, just like you just got emotional, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not for effect. I mean, it was really, really heartfelt. But here's the thing. You're one of many that feel that way. Right. So now, but here's the thing. Now, how am I, who I'm hurting as well, if I come to you with this? That's why having those resources, not only family, but so it's a big partaking to have, really, because you gotta, I ain't saying you gotta have the tip of your finger, but you gotta be able to, because it could be life or death sometimes when it comes to that, right? When it comes to that, because what you're doing, and Elder would know this, when you uncover those wounds, you better have something to mend them up, because if you don't, and that's why I said, I'm not saying you're not, that's why I'm glad you're here, because like I said, seems like you're equipped to do that, but you got to have those tools. You know what I mean? You got to have that tool bag full, and hopefully you got a resource. Hopefully, you got a resource here, but also in other counties. Hancock, I don't know if they used to serve. I don't think they serve Hancock now.
We serve a lot of counties.
See, that's what I'm saying. So, and that's, like I said, but it's good to have that that relationship with others. Like I said, that's why I'm glad she came. Because of that, it takes it, but it takes like I said, I don't do mental health, right? So but they do.
But if you think here, what she does, what you guys do, what we do, they all tie in together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's SUDs that are physically disabled, mental health, they're physically disabled, developmentally disabled, they're physically disabled, and vice versa, and on and on and
Right.
on. So, hey, let me get you in contact with so-and-so.
Right.
Let me get you in contact with so-and-so. Let me get you in contact with so-and-so. Yeah, we all need to network together. And we're not stepping on anybody's toes. We're not trying to steal clients. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. We're trying to be there for each other.
Right.
Let us support each other. If there's anything I can ever do for either one of your organizations to lift the load off a little, let me know.
That's good.
And I'll figure something out.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
So,
good.
and vice versa, I know that. I've been there with him. I know
Yeah.
how they roll.
And I would be amiss to kind of talk about some of the stigma that shows up in the youth as well when it comes to I'm fine, like I said, I'm fine culture. You know what I mean? I'm fine. I mean, a lot of us have went through that. You know what I mean? Or using humor to hide pain.
Right.
You know, and then some of that stuff isn't funny. You know what I mean? But I mean, they're hurting, man. You know, and kids are being labeled as well. Like I said, I think I'm glad we're talking about this, but I think now. I mean, it still happens. Don't get me wrong. That people, fear being labeled, but way less than it did when we were. I'm probably the oldest here, but it was way less then. But way less though.
Right.
I mean, people don't say that, or
We grew up with a roast of dirt on it. You'd be all right.
Yeah, Robitussin on it. You know what I mean?
I fell off the ladder. and my dad
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
no, I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, some go outlandish stuff. What is that gonna do? You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's just things that ain't gonna. They're not helping. They're not helping, right? You know what I mean? They're not helping, right?
Right.
But also that social media comparison as well. You know what I mean? You're already, down, and then here you are now. Somebody got, they. I mean, I'm not blaming the social media. Social media is there for whatever reason it's there for. I mean, that's up to you to kind of figure that out. If you searching for certain things and trying to look what the next, like you said, I hate to say it, if you coveting, it ain't not gonna be good because you're gonna be looking on there and there, something. Or this is an older term.
Right.
It's a term you all would know. It's called the Joneses, right?
I do know that term. I'm
this
not
family.
that
You ever heard
young.
this family? What do you what they got? What they got? Everything. The Jones got it all.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to try to get that, right? But now I'm talking about more or less like, even emotionally, right? If that's what, kind of drives you, those cars, those clothes and shoes. Not saying anything's wrong with them, but if it drives you and you don't really have that, it's going to make you look less than to your own self. And that's something we don't want to shut down and then have happen as well. So I'm not blaming, like I said,
Right.
The shoes, the clothes are fine, whatever, that's fine.
It's great to have nice things. I like nice things, but I'm going to say this, and I am going to be, if you want to call it religious, I'm just going to throw it out there. In Christ, there's a purpose. And when you know your purpose, you get established that way. When you don't know who you are and you don't know why you're here and everything's going crazy, you're definitely going to be looking at what somebody else have and try to be obtaining what they have instead of what your purpose on earth is. What are you here for? What are the giftings that you have in your hand? What were you born with? How did God create you to impact people? What did he give you? It was like he told Moses, what's in your hand? So what do you have that you can help somebody else, or how you could grow, or however, use what you have and get established in that and know your purpose. When you don't have a purpose and you don't know who you are, you just running around going with any crowd. You're a follower. You're not doing the things that is attached to your purpose. So, and we also have this thing that happens. I want to say this too, that there's a community of people that do not, because we don't have, I'm gonna say because we are afraid of agencies, CPS, and different things. We don't want people in our house. What goes on in this house, stay in this house. And it grows to the next generation, in the next one, because we as a culture don't want to deal with it, and we don't want people in our business. But I'm going to say there's a set of people that really need to go to therapy. Therapy is okay. It may not be family options. Find somewhere to talk to somebody that you can get it out, and that and another thing, a person with persons with a substance use disorder in certain communities, they don't want to seek help because there's a stigma behind it. Oh, she's a crackhead. Oh, she did this and he did that, and we tear people down, and so therefore they're afraid to seek help. But I want to say that I've been in those those arenas. Family treatment court, day report, all the things in the city, county commission, everything, all the capital places I go, there is so much help for somebody who wants to deal with their mental health or substance use disorder. There is help and there is confident help, but you have to reach out and start somewhere. So I just want to say today, if you have that issue and you're afraid, reach out today and then start the process, and you'll be happy in that process because there is help to get you through it.
And a couple questions you ask yourself: know your values. Know what your values are. What matters to you? Money, peace, respect, family, freedom. What matters to you? You know what I mean? What makes you proud of yourself, right? And what would you never compromise? That sometimes when you think about it, what would you never compromise? Sometimes that's the things you value, right? It's definitely something you would need to, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you value your integrity, you probably don't need to compromise that by trying to, just, do anything, or whatever. And that's, a lot of it as well. You'd also have to pay attention to your choices. You know what I mean? What do you choose when I have options? What do you choose? Which one do you choose? You know what I mean? And does my actions match who I am?
Right.
Or who I say I am. See, a lot of times we can, like I said, that's where that comparison come in. They doing all that. There was a lady I was looking at last night. She just was arrested for embezzlement, right? And she worked for a preschool. Now I don't know what preschool. I mean, I ain't gonna say what preschool was, but anyway, she embezzled $2.5 million. Yeah, so I don't know what preschool they going to, but anyway, what she was using it on trips. WWE wrestling things, stuff like that, tickets. But here's the thing, though. The reason why I say that is, but the reason why she was put on the radar was comparison, because she kept putting it on the internet, and there was no way it was adding up. Well, how are you doing all this and that, and this and that, all kinds of lavish trips and stuff like that? People started prying, and here we go. And then, but like I said, what does she value? What does she value? A person's opinion more than it would be her. And she had kids too that was going. So now they're going to suffer from some of the decisions she made. So one thing you need to do, you need to notice your triggers. Right. What makes you angry? What makes you insecure? What makes you emotional? Right, and that will kind of reveal some of the deeper things that's going on with you as well. I mean, a lot of times that's so. Why are we acting? Why is this situation making me react that way? Right. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just to touch, and I'm gonna come from a very biblical perspective. I can't help it. If people would sit down, my opinion only, people would sit down, pray, ask God, what do you want? What do you want from me? What can I do for you? You'd be amazed. I was a nurse, 20-some years. I've dabbled in quote unquote preaching, teaching. I've done this, I've done that. All of it just to prepare me for this moment. I feel this is where God wants me. I feel this in my soul better than I've ever felt anything in my life, more strong. I'm exactly in the road that he wants me to be. If all I can say is take this advice for what it's worth. I'm not trying to push religion on anybody. I'm not trying to push Jesus on anybody, but I would suggest if people would try it, they might be amazed themselves. It's unbelievable. And the way things have happened and it fell into place, it's just, but like you're saying, when you find, and it doesn't have to be Jesus. Maybe you're a passionate graphic designer. Go after it. Just find what it is and find out how you can do it and do it to the best of your ability. But as he said, find out, self-search, delve deep into your side and find out what fires you up and go for it, and find out what doesn't and what sets you off and work to avoid those things and those people.
And sometimes it's like, and I feel what you're saying. I think a lot of it is, this is, like we're having, this, platform for mental health. To get to where you want to get to, sometimes you have to have a platform in order to listen to when you say come to Jesus. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not telling you that, but that's so far for some people. Right. To you, it ain't now, but look at the road you took.
Right.
You understand?
I came here and had to listen to gospel music that I didn't want to listen to at the time. That's no lie. It didn't help bring my fire back.
That's what I'm saying.
Not that I was forced
No,
to.
you're right.
You see what I'm saying?
But I
Help
don't,
bring the fire
with
back.
me though, I'm
But
not
you're saying that you got to meet people where they are.
Exactly, wherever they
Don,
are. And
yeah,
I'm not
but-
saying only Jesus.
Oh no, I know you
No.
was. No, I know I definitely wasn't saying that to you. No, I was definitely
No,
saying
yeah,
you. I was
Don
saying-
was saying that people are not exactly right there. A lot of people are not there. They don't know Jesus.
That's
And
true.
so therefore, this is a way, there's another way.
Mhm.
Now we know Jesus.
Right.
And so, but everybody doesn't. And so there is a way that's not necessarily attached to a religion that
Right.
you can reach out for help.
Totally
Like
agree.
medical,
It is, but just like he's saying, but
Yeah.
there is a platform out there
Yes.
for you to one
Right.
thing would be listening, and reading scripture. But these are just ways you can build up to that. I'm just saying there's
Yeah,
another way.
there's
That's what I was
another way.
saying. That, and I
Right.
wish and I encourage through the scripture, not do anything we just whip up and say.
Right.
But I mean that they could go
No,
and get that
you
and get
gotta
that
have everything
relationship as
back.
well.
You
And like I
gotta
said,
have
but
it back. Yeah.
but I mean, it's one thing you said, and I go on, but you were saying about the gospel music, but it was talking to you.
Exactly.
See, so
It
but
was.
it might not have been talking to us before, right? We might have been,
I was gonna add, like, going like a step further. Whenever you were in the adult classes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I believe at that point in time you did not have your mission yet.
No.
You
Not
did
even.
not have these things going
Wasn't
on.
even
And
close. I still have my leg.
there are a few people that I do recall. Like, I mean, most of the people that come through the classes, I can remember by face. My worst trait is names. There are a few in there that slip through, and I do forget, which I do apologize for those individuals. But
I'm sorry.
I do remember at that time, you did not have that glow. You did not have like almost like you were lacking passion.
Man, I
in
didn't
a
have this
sense.
passion and this glow and this happiness.
That's what I'm saying.
Last month
So,
when I
like,
was here.
You
So,
say
yeah,
like
it's-
you found your mission, and like
Mhm.
everything about
Mhm.
how everything is operated, is different.
Mhm.
And that goes into finding your mission,
Right.
finding what you are supposed to be here
Right.
to do.
Exactly
You
right.
found.
Exactly right.
also, we need to evaluate on your environment. We
Right.
need to, and I'm not saying you were the wrong one at that time.
Right.
You need to evaluate your environment. You really do. It is the people I'm around? Do they kind of reflect who I want to be, right?
Exactly right.
Or is it kind of depending on who I am? Sometimes it's like that. One thing you realize once you start to that mission that you're on, things will fall off. Just like you be like, where they go? There you go. It's not there. So, but we have to realize those things. And sometimes when you take this journey, to get yourself right mentally, a lot of people ain't gonna be with you on that journey. And it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Because you think they would, but they wouldn't. And a lot of it is because they don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Let's get it right. They don't want, and I hate to say it, but they don't want to do
Well,
that.
they don't want to hear.
And where it might take you, right? Because a lot of times that's what, when we talk about substance abuse, right? Things like that. Well, it's hard to make a decision. They won't even let you go up to the courthouse. If you try to go up to the courthouse and make a decision, they're going to ask you, are you under the influence first? Because you can't really make good decisions when you're under the influence.
Right.
You can't. So imagine going around life like that. And a lot of decisions you make are just make it just because on the spur of the moment. Because
Right.
I'm not even in my right mind.
Right.
Right.
And that's a lot of it as well. So a lot of times we have to, not be so intoxicated with not only just drink, but just even the things of, even the TV might offer, social media might offer as well. And that goes back to, like I said before, get your inner self and understanding, what your values may be. But also you reflect, reflect on your experiences a lot of times, what have you been through? And everybody here has been through different things. I always say that. I can't tell you where you walked in your shoes. I don't know that, but you do. Right. And that's the thing. So that means when we talk to someone, that's sometimes all we have to talk about is the way we, what shoes we walked in, our own self and our, own, experiences. How did you change you though? For the better
Right.
or for the worse though, right?
Right.
How did it change you and quit, and this is a counseling thing. A lot of people, it's something called euphoric recall. Okay, euphoric recall is what you go back to when things go on and you go only to the good moments. But you don't remember, or you try to suppress all the bad moments that happen when I talk about the worst part of it. If you try to do something and it didn't work or whatever, you always go back, I remember the time it worked, but it didn't work at the end. And that's what you'd have to kind of go off of and understand that. But a lot of people kind of mesmerized or they stick or locked into that euphoric recall of what did work when it. And this is kind of one of those things, substance abuse things as well. But they call it play the tape through. What you probably heard, you know what I mean? When you play the tape, you know, it's like, you know, I mean, look at a movie. I mean, same thing in a movie, whatever movie. I always use the movie Scarface. It might be a bad comparison, but you got to think, you know what I mean? He came from nothing, had something. I know it was in a legal way. I get it. But then he was isolated himself. And in the end, he died alone. I mean, that's it. But guess what? But all people you'll see in somebody's house where they got the poster, money, power, respect. That's all they got on. But he didn't have that. He didn't have none of that. He didn't have none of that. When he didn't have none of that. But we ain't gonna speak about that.
Or you'll even hear at times people like in rap songs, things like that.
You just
go out like Scarface.
Is that what you want?
I don't know if
I mean,
you want
but that's what I'm saying. Glorifying, and not definitely not, because we did that the other day. Not those people to glorify that.
Right.
Rap, but those also. I mean, it was a guy rapping yesterday. This is rap. It's rap. It was kind of gospel rap, but it was rap though.
Yeah.
But don't even think that it exists. There's help out there for mental health as well that people don't even believe that exists, and it does exist. You know what I mean? And it is okay to go in. Like I said before, I of course I love family options because I've worked there too.
Right.
But the atmosphere, you know what I mean, and they're very, you know, they're very warm. I mean, and coming in and things like that. I mean, it is, and there's other places out here too as well.
Oh, yeah.
I just have a special relationship with them, but it's others out here as well. But it makes me know that. You know what I mean? I know a place. I called them the other day. I called them a couple times. You mean that's just who I called when they, you know, I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I know somebody might, and then they'll get back to me if they don't have
made me
it.
think. You ever heard of the geographical fix?
Mm-mm.
Where if I move, I'll be different.
No.
If I move, if I get rid of these friends, I'll be different.
Yeah.
Getting rid of friends and moving sometimes is necessary, but it alone ain't gonna fix. You gotta fix yourself.
Yeah, a lot of times.
First, fix yourself first. And then go from there.
Right, and I believe that. I believe you know it's one of the ways.
Before you go on, something I wanted to add in there about the different things, like on the improvement side, I'd say probably right after where it is identify your triggers. Okay? At that point in time, you need to set your barriers, okay, for yourself, and you need to stick to them, because I mean, that is a way that you help yourself either get around or address those triggers or whatever it might be. But you can't know what those triggers are and then operate the same way.
No. I wanted to say that just to women alone, like we go through so much, not saying that men do, but I'm going to speak about women. That not saying that men don't have, but because I believe that men go through things too. Yeah. You know, I do. I have compassion for men who go through things and can get through things. But as for women, we wear so many hats sometimes, and there are periods of all of our lives that we're just not on our game. You know, something has happened and made us spiral, and we're not dealing with it. So we're hanging out more with friends. We're binge watching TV. That's part of not dealing with stuff. We're binge watching shows. We're drinking. We're partying enough. We always got to be seen, and we got to be, and we don't handle it. And so we're not always on our game. We get thrown off some kind of way, and then mistakes are made. And then sometimes it can weigh you down and continue to weigh you down because you haven't talked about it, accepted it, held accountability for yourself. And I think accountability is a big issue when we're dealing with situations that could affect our mental health to a point that we want to keep covering it and erasing it. So I think when we don't handle things, when we say, oh gosh, it's just like maybe you had something and you get disappointed. Let's just use disappointment because disappointment can hurt sometimes. And you get disappointed in people. You get disappointed. Say you had a plan to do something that fell through, and now you're depressed and you're isolating yourself and you're not talking to anybody about it. You feel weak, you feel down, and you just keep suppressing it. Well, it comes out in other ways. And so we have to deal with our issues. We have to be able to deal with it. But if you don't know how to deal with it, then you hold it. And so we being an outlet like this type of platform is saying, this is the help here, here, and here. If you just need information, we got the information. You know, if you need a resource, here's the resource. And so I encourage people to reach out if they have that type of situation, because that is something too that can mess with your mental health. It'll throw you off. You will not be your best you when you're not feeling good.
I say be like Shrek. He's better out than in.
Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I think, you're right. A lot of times, and we have talked about a lot today. We definitely talked about mental health stigma. That's what we talked about, knowing who you are, right? But a lot of people walk around wearing masks every day. And that's the thing, smiling in public, right? And then they're struggling in private, and they don't have to, right? Get the help you need. Trying to be strong, but you're feeling lost inside, and you have to, you have to do something. There's nothing wrong with saying that I'm not okay. I mean, we have to say that, there's nothing wrong with trying to figure yourself out as well. You just don't have to do it alone. All right. You just don't have to do it alone. Either, like I said, and we talked a lot biblically, but we also talked about there's other places you can go to speak to people as well, professionals that you can go talk to. And hopefully the people that you hang around, can tell you.
There's no shame in it.
Right. Tell you as well. And there's nothing shameful in needing help. And that's the thing, we want to, kind of, stress. There's nothing shameful when that happens. And that's a lot of times, and it doesn't happen overnight. We know that too. So we have to be honest with ourselves. And we have to stop living for everybody else's expectations too, though. And that's why I said, I didn't say go not to scroll, and I didn't say that, but scroll and just grow. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's something. If you can't do that, then maybe you shouldn't scroll. Maybe you shouldn't scroll if you're going to, go down that road. But and you have to give yourself permission to grow. There's no way you can make it unless you have to grow. And all different ways. You just talked about a growth that a growth, right? That's the thing. But I always say, we always have to remember, and that doesn't mean that we can't move forward, because you got to move forward. Right. But we always got to remember where we came from as well. And what I mean by that is when we're making comparisons to others, not you, but when we're making comparisons to others. Well, you there now, you're here now, but he wasn't here. I'm not saying you, but that's what they say even about. No, I'm not saying you. I didn't say that, but I'm talking about myself. I wasn't there. So I'm like, I know, so you can think, well, man, they all messed up, but yeah, it took me a while to get it right there. Or whatever. I still got to get it right. I think, don't ever think that you can't be, you still got to get it right. Don't ever think, you can't fall into, you can. You can fall back right back in the same things you did before. Don't ever.
If you don't grow from it, you stay in it.
That's exactly
you stay stuck. Either you stay stuck, you recognize it's an issue, you're going to keep going round and round and spinning round and round and wondering why you haven't got to this next level. Well, there's a lesson here you didn't get yet. And now you didn't grow from it. So now you're stuck. So we have to grow from what we go through, our experience. You got to grow from it.
Right. And I think, like I said before, I think, us being here is a huge help and a step, toward that. Like I said before, just, going to keep on ironing out the things we need to iron out as well. But having, great guests like yourselves on. I think, thank you, Elder. Thank you, Curtis, Jesse, and Michael. Thank you all for being here. Just a few things. We have tomorrow, we have a youth opioid prevention event that's going on down in Leicester. Some of it, this might go on after it happens, but I still want to mention that we still are continuing to do it. And it's at Leicester City Hall, and it's from 11 to 2. But we also have one on April the 26th that's over at the Mount Hope Community Center as well. And that one is from I want to say it's from 2 to 5 is when it is 2 to 5. We have an Easter egg hunt coming up. I know Heart of God actually has one as well. New
Saturday on the
4th at 12, and ours is at 1. Like I said, we'll try to push it as much as we can so theirs is at New River, ours is at Freedom Park. So we can push it a little bit as well. But I think it's a great thing. Partner with St. Luke as well. And also NECO to hand out some good things as well.
When's that?
It's next Saturday, which would be April the 4th. Ours is at 1. Theirs is at 12. Heart of God's at 12. They're doing a lot of good things. They have a lot. I'd love to talk about the after school program they got going on as well. Yeah. They have it. And maybe that's what I'll start doing as well. And also, we have a big shoe drive coming up April 11th. And be here at the
whole bunch of lessons for
it. Well, that's fine. Hey, that's fine. And we'll find somebody that needs them. But hopefully, and we can do that. And that's the thing. You made an idea for me. to do that. But you know, and I think, you know, it's going to be good. It's that one is from 12 to 3. It's here at the office, 345 Prince Street, April 11th again. We need shoes. I mean, like I said, for we lightly worn new shoes, but we'll clean them up when we need to. So don't have to worry about that. I mean, if you don't want to just give them to us, we got gloves, we got stuff to clean them up. You know what I mean?
Southern West Virginia, when this gets posted to our page, remember that.
That's right. I mean, you already plug yours too as well. Say what you need to say about West Virginia Disabled.
Just hit our Facebook page. Follow the story. I'm not asking to donate. I'm asking to share. Awareness will get us where we need. So just share. If you feel led to donate, by all means, please do. Follow the story. You'll be amazed.
Thank you all.
I also wanted to let the women know that Project War Room will be April the 11th from 11:30 to 1:30. So we can have a good day. Come out and get some devotional, then head over to the shoe drive.
That's right. And get together.
Full all day.
That's it. That's it. And I thank you all, and then we'll do it again. Like I said, we'll have one next month. Like I said, and if this message hits you, share it. Start a conversation. Tag somebody who needs to hear this. Okay, and remember, we're not just talking. We're building a collective. And thank you.